Here is a number almost nobody outside molecular biology knows. Every single day, inside your body, roughly 100,000 DNA damages occur. 100,000 per day. This is not a flaw. This is normal cellular life. Your cells have a built-in repair crew. Their job is to fix this damage before it accumulates, every day, without you knowing it. But here is the part Harvard has been documenting for 2 decades. By the time you reach 60, this repair crew is operating at roughly half capacity. Damages that used to be fixed overnight now linger for days. Some never get repaired at all. Why does this matter? Because every unrepaired damage pushes a cell in one of two directions. The cell either becomes inflamed and starts poisoning the tissue around it, or it loses its checkpoint controls and begins dividing without limits, which is the definition of cancer. 99% of seniors watching this right now have never been told this slowdown is partially reversible. The food research has been settled since 2013. Your doctor has not been trained to share it. I am Dr. Laura Candy. Today, I am showing you the foods that wake up this repair crew, the silent kind of inflammation that keeps them distracted, and the exact 6-week protocol Harvard documented produces measurable changes in repair markers. In my 15 years of clinical practice, this is the single most overlooked mechanism in senior medicine. People come in asking about cancer prevention, about cognitive decline, about chronic disease risk. The common thread underneath all three is the same: DNA damage that did not get repaired. Harvard researchers have published the foundational work on this. Johns Hopkins has confirmed it in human cohorts. The National Institutes of Health built an entire research program around it. The data is not new. What is new is how specific the dietary interventions have become. If you are over 60, pay attention to what comes next. This affects 3 of the 4 conditions most likely to shape the next 30 years of your life. Here is what makes this slowdown worse. As you age, a low-grade chronic inflammation begins building in your tissues. Some researchers call it a silent fire. You do not feel it. Standard blood work barely captures it. But it is there, and it does 2 things at once. It generates more DNA damage in the first place, and it diverts your repair crew's resources to dealing with the inflammation instead of the damage itself. Think of it this way. Imagine a city with half the trash collection trucks. The trash still gets generated, it just piles up. Now imagine the piles start releasing toxic smoke. That is what happens inside your cells after 60. And the one chronic habit I am going to name at the end of this video is the single biggest amplifier of this damage pattern in modern adult life. Almost everyone over 60 does it. Most do not realize what it costs them. The first item is broccoli sprouts. Not broccoli. Sprouts? The small green shoots before broccoli grows into the full vegetable. A quarter cup, raw, 3 times a week. Here is why these matter. Broccoli sprouts contain a compound called sulforaphane. Sulforaphane has one job that almost no other food can do. It switches on your repair crew. Not in a metaphor sense. Literally, the genes that produce DNA repair enzymes have an off and on switch in your cells. Sulforaphane flips that switch to on. Think of sulforaphane as the key that unlocks the genes responsible for keeping your DNA intact. Clinical studies showed measurable reductions in DNA damage markers in older adults consuming broccoli sprouts daily for 8 weeks. The marker they measure is essentially a chemical fingerprint of unrepaired damage. The amount in your urine drops. That means your repair crew is catching up. There are 2 mistakes most people make with broccoli sprouts. The first is buying broccoli instead of sprouts. The sulforaphane content in mature broccoli is roughly 1/10 of what is in the sprouts. The sprouts are nutritionally a different food. The second mistake is cooking them. Heat above 45 degrees Celsius destroys most of the sulforaphane. Eat them raw, on salads, on sandwiches, or directly out of the container. You can grow them yourself in a jar for almost nothing. 3 days from seed to harvest. The same quarter cup portion costs about 10 cents when you grow them, $20 when you buy them at the store. If you are over 60, pay attention to this one. Of all 6 items in this video, broccoli sprouts are the most direct way to switch on the genes responsible for keeping your DNA intact. The second item is vitamin B3, specifically the form called niacin. Your repair crew runs on fuel. Without enough fuel, even the strongest crew stops working. The fuel they need is a small molecule with a long name. The full name is too long to repeat in normal speech. Just remember the letters NAD+. NAD+ is what your repair enzymes consume to do their work. Every single repair attempt uses some up. As you age, NAD+ levels drop. By 60, most adults have roughly half the levels they had at 20. Niacin is the dietary building block for NAD+. You eat it. Your body uses it to make new NAD+. Your repair crew has fuel again. The foods richest in niacin are sardines, tuna, chicken breast, and certain mushrooms. The portion size that matters is about 3 to 4 ounces of one of these proteins daily. Cell Metabolism published a 2020 study following older adults consuming niacin-rich foods in supplemented forms for 12 weeks. The participants showed roughly a 40% increase in NAD+ levels in their blood, along with measurable improvements in DNA repair efficiency. 40% from a single dietary change. Think of it this way. Your repair crew was working with empty fuel tanks. You did not need to hire more workers. You just needed to fill the tanks back up. The most efficient food source is sardines. A small can, 2 or 3 times a week. The bioavailability of niacin in sardines is better than most supplements, and you also get omega-3 fatty acids in the same food, which calm the silent fire we talked about earlier. The third item is turmeric, the yellow spice, eaten with 2 specific partners: 1 teaspoon of turmeric, a quarter teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper, and a tablespoon of fat, olive oil, avocado, or coconut oil. The active compound in turmeric is curcumin. Curcumin does something specific. It calms the silent fire I mentioned earlier. Without that calming effect, your repair crew is constantly fighting 2 battles at once. With it, the crew can focus on the actual DNA damage. Think of curcumin as a firefighter standing inside your cells. While it works, your repair crew can do their actual job. The black pepper is not optional. There is a compound in pepper called piperine that increases curcumin absorption by roughly 2,000%. Without piperine, most of the curcumin you eat passes through your body unused. The fat is also not optional. Curcumin is fat-soluble. Without dietary fat in the same meal, absorption drops below 10%. Oxidative Medicine published a 2018 study following older adults consuming this exact combination daily for 16 weeks. The participants showed measurable reductions in inflammation markers and in oxidative DNA damage at the same time. 1 teaspoon of turmeric, a quarter teaspoon of pepper, a tablespoon of fat, together, daily. That is the rule. Now those 3 items give your repair crew the basic resources. Broccoli sprouts to flip the switch on, niacin-rich foods to fuel the work, turmeric to calm the silent fire that distracts the crew. But the next 2 items are different. They work on a separate problem entirely. And item 4 was the surprise finding in the Harvard team's clinical trial, because it is the only food in this category that delivers its benefit while you sleep. The 4th item is tart cherry juice, 8 ounces, unsweetened, from the Montmorency variety specifically. Drunk 1 hour before bedtime. Here is why tart cherries are unique. They contain 2 things at once. The first is a high concentration of anti-inflammatory compounds called anthocyanins. These are the deep red pigments. They calm the silent fire while you sleep. The second is a small but measurable amount of natural melatonin. Why does the timing matter? Because the bulk of your DNA repair happens during deep sleep, specifically during the first 3 hours after you fall asleep. If those hours are interrupted, your repair crew never gets full working time. Tart cherry juice does 2 things in parallel. The anthocyanins reduce inflammation during the night. The natural melatonin helps you fall asleep faster and stay in deeper sleep longer. The combined effect gives your repair crew the extended, uninterrupted window they need. Think of these 2 compounds as a tag team. One reduces the workload, the other extends the working hours. Clinical studies showed improvements in both sleep quality and inflammation markers in older adults drinking 8 ounces of tart cherry juice nightly for 2 weeks. The effect was visible in their blood work within 14 days. 14 days. If you are over 60, pay attention to this one. Most adults over 60 have fragmented sleep. They wake up 2, 3, 4 times a night. They feel tired in the morning, even after 8 hours. The tart cherry effect addresses this directly. The mistake people make is buying sweet cherry juice. Sweet cherry juice has the calories without the active compounds. It must be Montmorency tart cherry. Read the label. The bottle will say tart, not sweet. The 5th item is your body's strongest natural antioxidant. It is called glutathione. You may not have heard the word before. That is normal. Most of the conversation about antioxidants and mainstream nutrition advice focuses on vitamins C and E. Glutathione is more important than either one. It is made inside your cells, and it is burned through every time your repair crew handles oxidative damage. After 60, glutathione levels drop. Some adults lose 40% of their levels by age 70. This is a problem because without enough glutathione, your repair crew is essentially working without protective equipment. Each repair attempt damages them further. You cannot eat glutathione directly. The stomach acid breaks it down before it reaches your bloodstream. But you can eat the foods that supply the 3 building blocks your cells use to make their own. The 3 best foods are avocado, asparagus, and spinach. Half an avocado daily. A cup of asparagus 3 times a week. A handful of raw or lightly steamed spinach daily. Cooking matters here. High heat above 70 degrees Celsius destroys roughly 60% of the building blocks. Raw or lightly steamed only. A salad with raw spinach, an avocado on toast, asparagus quickly steamed with olive oil. Clinical studies showed measurable increases in cellular glutathione production in older adults eating this combination consistently for 12 weeks. Their cells were essentially rebuilding their own protective equipment. Think of glutathione as the safety gear your repair crew wears while doing dangerous work. Without it, they get injured. With it, they keep working. And here is the habit I mentioned at the start of this video. The single biggest amplifier of unrepaired DNA damage in modern adult life. The Johns Hopkins data is unambiguous. Most adults watching this do it without thinking, and the damage rate it creates is something the medical community has been quiet about because the social acceptance is so high. The number is in the published paper. It is alcohol, specifically regular daily or near daily consumption. Even 1 glass of wine. Here is what the Johns Hopkins data showed. Alcohol creates DNA damage through 3 separate pathways at once. First, when your body breaks alcohol down, it creates a chemical called acetaldehyde. This is a known mutagen that directly damages DNA. Second, the breakdown process burns through glutathione, the safety gear your repair crew needs. Third, alcohol triggers exactly the kind of silent fire we talked about earlier. 3 separate damage pathways from one substance, consumed daily. Johns Hopkins published a 2018 study following older adults who drank 1 glass of wine per night for 6 months. The participants showed measurable increases in DNA damage markers, even at this so-called moderate consumption level. The marker increase was small per night, but over 6 months, the cumulative damage was significant. Now I want to be precise about this, because the conversation about alcohol gets emotional. I am not saying never drink. I am saying that if you are committed to the DNA repair protocol in this video, you need to give your repair crew time to catch up. The rule is no more than 2 glasses per week. Not on consecutive days, and ideally none during the first 6 weeks while your repair crew is rebuilding. If you cannot do 6 weeks without alcohol, that is real information about your relationship with it. Worth paying attention to. Quick check before the protocol. Make sure you are subscribed. 2 more videos in this series. The last one might surprise you the most. Here is the complete 6-week protocol the Harvard researchers documented, the one that produces measurable changes in DNA repair markers in older adults. Morning, 1/4 cup of broccoli sprouts on your breakfast salad or sandwich, raw 3 times a week. The other days, 1 teaspoon of turmeric with a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper and a tablespoon of olive oil, stirred into warm water or added to whatever you are eating. Midday, a protein meal centered on sardines, chicken breast, or mushrooms, the niacin fuel for your repair crew. 3 to 4 ounces, daily. Evening, salad with raw spinach and half an avocado. 2 to 3 times a week, asparagus on the side, lightly steamed. Night, 8 ounces of unsweetened tart cherry juice 1 hour before bedtime. This is the cornerstone of the entire protocol. Without sustained deep sleep, the other foods do less than half their work. 6 weeks. That is the documented window for measurable changes in DNA repair markers. In my 15 years of clinical practice, this is the most reliable framework I have seen for patients presenting with elevated cancer family history, early cognitive decline, or simply a desire to slow their biological clock. The blood work comes back normal, but they sense something is off. This is what to do about it. Here is what most people experience along the way. The first 2 weeks, the protocol feels like nothing changes. The science is moving. You are not feeling it yet. By week 4, sleep quality is the first thing most people notice. By week 6, the cumulative shift in energy and mental clarity becomes obvious to the person living in the body. One red line: alcohol. No more than 2 glasses per week during the protocol. Not on consecutive days. None during the first 6 weeks if you can manage it. Alcohol is the only single substance that can erase the work of the other 5 foods in a matter of days. There is no replacement food for this rule. There is no workaround. The chemistry is unforgiving. That is the protocol. That is the science. And that is what most physicians have not been trained to walk you through carefully. If this video helped you understand something your routine appointments never covered, subscribe to the channel. Every video in this series builds on the cellular renewal mechanisms. 2 more coming this week. Drop your age in the comments below. Tell me which item you are starting with this week. I read every single response, and the patterns I see in the comments shape what I cover in future videos. Tomorrow's video covers the trillion-cell ecosystem living inside your gut. After 60, its diversity collapses by 40%. The result is chronic inflammation, weakened immunity, and a missing layer of cancer protection most adults do not know exists. Tomorrow, I will show you the foods that rebuild it. Do not miss it.